It's another Human First AI marketing podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague at Avenue 9. You can find us at avenue9.com, doing all kinds of cool things with AI and marketing, but in a human first way, trying to tell scalable stories and make human marketers into superheroes rather than replace them with AI agents and robots. And my guest this week is Jason Berkowitz, founder of Break the Web. They're at breaktheweb.agency. He's an SEO expert trying to make SEO less annoying, more accessible, easy to integrate into your plan. And Jason, I feel like SEO is one of the most disrupted things in 2025 here. So let's kind of start with that. How do we do SEO in a human first way in 2025 versus kind of just spamming the hell out of everybody with a whole bunch of AI generated slop articles?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I think there's a lot of perception that SEO might have changed this year, but in the grand scheme of things, when we look at some of the data and some of the numbers about platform disruption, market share for search, in the grand scheme of things, there actually has been very minimal disruption, just a lot of noise. That's kind of what we're seeing from an SEO standpoint, as well as any good foundational SEO from the data we can track translates into good outcome in AI LLM platforms. I think the biggest one is how people might be using AI and LLM platforms to get, a metric conversion. Maybe, sure, that's quick, that's easy, but when people are looking to spend money, there hasn't been much noticeable impact in the way people are using these platforms. But integrating human first AI with SEO, it's actually still very much the same recent principles of good SEO is writing content for the user, creating pages that catch people's eyes. And now the people are talking about create content for AI and LLM platforms or optimize content. But then what is that going to do? It's going to make your content crappy for the user at the end of the day. And user first SEO has been talked about more probably in the last 5 to 7 years, I would say, where at the end of the day, like getting traffic to your website, no matter what the medium, it's all about conversion, that you actually see something from that traffic that gets there. And that's how we like to think of user first SEO now. And
yeah, that's the way I think about it in marketing in general, really is like, sure, if we optimize this crazy post for AEO and we did everything that the robots wanted to see, but humans click on it because it's ranked number one and then they disappear. One, you're not going to keep a number one ranking, but two, it's not going to do anything for you, like you said. And I think that there are good kind of human first principles that apply through all time, whether it's a platform or a change or a strategy, that it doesn't necessarily matter which tools you use. It's about how you're resonating with the audience, building authority, credibility, and stuff like that. So I think if we nerd out on SEO here for a second,
let's do it.
Let's talk about what some of those things are. I already kind of mentioned authority building, getting your voice out there and stuff that like starts conversations and provides answers in a way that builds trust with a buyer, right? And regardless of whether Google ever ranks it, that's kind of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think there's a site-wide topical relevance that you should be about. Whether AI platforms like ChatGPT have integrated the same natural language processing and scoring of what might be perceived authority or relevance, I think that's still unknown. But for Google's sake, and we hope maybe AI and LLM platforms, is that if you are writing continuously about a specific topic, that's what your domain, your website's about, and building a topical relevance, authority, expertise. There's some acronyms, EEAT, in our industry that could help feed all this information so that you do become cited as a trustworthy source in the search results and others.
Well, that's a great place to start with, because I kind of think of AI as human referral partners in this regard. That if you told, I don't know, like a B&I partner or a family member that you do 20 different services, they're not going to remember all 20 different things. And if people ask you for them, they may or may not even remember if they know somebody that would need those services. But if they know what you do for a living, if they know what you stand for, like who you serve, some bigger level questions, they can remember that. And then they know when you're relevant in the conversation. I think whether it's a Google algorithm, AI, or a human, if we're thinking about targeting human referrals, we're probably going to end up doing the right thing for Google and AI too. Is that fair?
I think that would be a great, fair assumption. I think if there's one thing we've learned, even from Google's sake today, that sometimes the algorithms aren't as advanced as we like to think they are. And we see, even in Google, we still see really horrible search results where maybe you're looking for something and I can't find it. Why are you not understanding my query? My query is simple, and sometimes it just doesn't work that way. I think the hope would be that we continue to get to a place where they can really understand what you're asking and serve up those same results in an authoritative and relevant format for people that, again, are highly relevant. There are the other aspects, though, where even like traditional SEO, where a brand and their competitors can all write really awesome content, could have pages that are all semantically relevant for a specific topic. How does Google decipher which one is best to serve up, or maybe AI platforms? And now it's coming back in the conversation, which is awesome. The topic of link building, brand mentions, getting the word out there, digital PR, all these different aspects, which kind of get thrown under the bus historically because of old school SEO stigmas and spam. But still,
I think it's just poor misconceptions of the way it started. People don't realize that Google got over what you put on your page pretty quick. Even by like 2010, which is like 15 years ago now. They're not taking your word for it anymore. You can easily spam the wrong keywords and shove a page up the rankings if that's the way they did it. So I think just like any buyer would, if you think again about the human buyer, they're going to say, okay, well, of course you're going to say you have good customer service. Why don't I talk to some of your clients? Or why don't I see what everybody else is saying about your customer service in reviews, and then use those as more credible signals than what you're going to say on your website. And so again, I think if you take a human tactic there of like getting other people to talk about you is better than you trying to do it yourself. Plus it amplifies your reach. You get into their audiences and all kinds of good stuff. And that to me is the interesting part of kind of marketing, is how can we get other people to say good things. I did have one deeper question for you on this one, though. Yeah. This is my theory. I haven't actually looked into it yet, and you might say yes, no, or in between in both. I feel like even in SEO from 2 years ago, duplicate content was still frowned upon because Google doesn't know which page to rank, or it's only going to rank one, and you're kind of wasting your time, or you're confusing an algorithm to rank. But now with AI, or if we're thinking about humans, having that same story in a lot of different places now becomes more valuable. Now AI in its training data says, oh, we have this article of what is human first AI marketing on 1,000 sites, and it's all the same and it's relevant. And this must be the consensus definition of AI versus this must be the authority page on the topic, I think is a fundamental shift in sort of SEO topics. But tell me where I'm wrong there, or what you think.
I do see value in what you're saying. It makes sense. Content syndication is very much a thing, especially in the PR world.
Right.
So you are mimicking in a way what is natural. I think there's the hope. We're still like such in the early stages that these AI platforms are still like in its infancy in their expertise. I think there's a good thing that Google has become more advanced to understand, duplicate content. But if you, for example, cite the original source, that's a way of beating that duplicate content issues. At the same time, most like duplicate content issues are if the same content or near similar content is on the same domain. Syndicating the same type of article or near similar content, could likely have its place in digital PR. Hopefully AI. I still think it's like so early to see and track. Like right now, you can't really track anything in AI outputs. It changes every other day.
There's some free tools that'll kind of tell you what they're guessing your share of voice is or anything, but it's not ranking compared to others or things like that. And
you
AI changes every time. It can be very creative, which the search algorithm was too, but they had tools built in to show you what it was doing across those. Right?
Yeah. I mean, you can track a prompt over time. Let's say you make a prompt every single day, you can track that in a way. We built a tool internally called Hugin, which allows us to track brands and their visibility against certain prompts specifically, but prompt volume is going to be next to impossible, or prompt research in a way, just because every prompt is so unique and so different. And of course, the models are just constantly changing. We might be using the same model, but even that gets updates in a while. And at the same, if that wasn't enough, ChatGPT hasn't updated their internal knowledge since April 2024. So like we're already almost 2 years, a year and a half behind. So they either they use their internal knowledge or they make a real-time search. So everything is still kind of up in the air.
Yeah, I find that fascinating, which is why for me, I think anybody that is promising like specific tactics of like, oh, just do these 4 things and you'll get in there are probably wrong. But the strategies we've been talking about of like, what's a theory? If I wanted more humans to talk about me or more humans to refer me, what would I do? If I wanted to get in more places, find more eyeballs or build credibility? To me, it kind of makes logical sense that if more people are talking about you, AI is going to say, okay, there's some weight to this. Like it's based on probability, right? What is the most likely correct answer? So if your answer in whatever, blog or customer search or FAQ you got is kind of the one that's most cited, I think they would have to, just like anybody else would, go, well, I don't know, 1 million people say this is the right answer. It must be the right answer. Whether it is or not, this is another question. But taking those tactics rather than saying like, oh, if I just do header 1 tag and some data relevant issues on the page, AI is going to pick that up. I don't think that makes any sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of saying like the web of things, very much how Google might look at things, the way things link to each other, the endless amount of links. So let's say if ChatGPT deems this website good because of all the other people that link to it, then that same website then links to other websites. It's authority being passed and perception of authority, very similar to how Google might classify domain authority internally on their algorithmic side. Yeah, authority can be passed through links, trust, expertise. If 1,000, I mean, this goes back to the old school days of SEO where you can build 1,000 pages with the click of a button that link to you, but what is the value of those links?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. Now, you kind of hinted that there hasn't been a sea change in people's purchasing behavior or kind of their link behavior, but I think there certainly has been in their search behavior. And you mentioned one of them of like going from 3 to 5 words in Google to like 25 to 30 words in a ChatGPT search or a voice search does seem like a different thing for me. And I think, all the stats and noise that you were talking about is that like, some industries, 50-80% of searches became 0-click searches, where if you're looking for, how old Tom Cruise is or whatever, they can just say 53. They don't need to take you to a website that says he's 53 or his Wikipedia page to find that answer. How do you see that affecting what's happening for like small business marketing?
Yeah, I think in the big picture of all of this, it shouldn't be making that big of a dent. If you had good marketing to begin with, super informational queries weren't going to lead to money or revenue anyways. So again, let's say you wrote an awesome article about how old Tom Cruise is. Let's say there was no snippet or AI results that gave you that answer right there in the search results. If somebody clicked onto your website, they're not in purchase mode. They don't want to buy anything. At the end of the day, marketing is to try to get the word out, increase the brand presence, and hopefully in some capacity or another, get money from it. If people are just hopping on your brand and your website and then leaving, is that good qualified traffic or quality traffic to begin with? So good SEO, and just like other good marketing, has been kind of focused on bringing people to the user journey and customer journey anyways. So we're seeing most of these like AI results and AI overviews appearing in informational queries. People just really looking for an answer to a question. Whereas you start getting down the funnel, more middle, bottom of the funnel, maybe some navigational intent or transactional intent, fewer results. Imagine Google probably doesn't want to be responsible for any bad purchase things that might take place. So that still leaves the organic opportunities out there, which is going to convert anyways. If you have 1,000 visitors and less than 1% are converting because it's all informational, I mean, maybe like 0.5%. That's really
Yeah.
bad.
Well, that's kind of what I'm seeing, and what I was going to add on to that is it really depends on what industry you're in. So you kind of specialize in the direct to consumer, where it was like an e-commerce click and purchase. Somebody still has to get to that page. Somebody has to sell that item, whether they're coming from ChatGPT or Google or not. I think the ones that are getting crushed are people that were selling advertisements, and they were getting 80,000 worthless click-throughs to that Tom Cruise page, and they were showing
Publishers,
their own publishing pay-per-click ads. They're getting hammered. 80% of their traffic is down, and their revenue. Where I work is in the B2B space, and I think if you're in professional services and you're a lawyer, a consultant, or of some kind, you don't really care. People weren't ever going to click on your website and buy a $60,000 consulting package. So do you care whether Google says you're best or ChatGPT says you're the best? It doesn't really matter. They're still probably going to have a conversation with you at some point. And so how they become aware of you, I don't think matters as much. I think you can really avoid all the headaches and sort of just kind of make sure that you're part of the conversation. What you don't want to be is left out. If somebody says, hey, who's the best lawyer in Boston, you don't want Google or ChatGPT to not have you on that list.
Yeah, and most people, though, they're also looking for a lawyer in Boston. They're not just going to take wherever the source is, the first lawyer they find, and just submit a contact form. People have some level of skepticism in general from what they see online. People are going to do their due diligence. They're going to research, look for reviews, browse around different pages, whatever their own way of getting that confidence that, okay, this is a brand I should be reaching out to, or a law firm I should be reaching out to. There's that same, again, research process that people naturally go through. If you look at any like website analytics, the way people navigate around websites until they convert is just very fascinating. And then let's say ChatGPT does recommend the brand and they don't link to your brand. What are people going to do? Take the brand and go back to Google anyways. So Google is going to get the credit for that source of traffic as well. I think, we're so very early in these stages that there's no consistent baselines that have been set. The baseline just keeps changing over time with all these updates that we really don't know how people are going to adopt to AI, LLMs. I think there is a common consensus among not us folks, but like the regular non-techie folks, is that it's AI overload. People are sick of AI in commercials on the regular apps that they use. That's like, okay, this is too much right now. That, I think there's a lot of data to show that among average consumers.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating too. People, it's kind of weird because you get fooled, and we were talking about this before you record, by the early adopters and the news cycle saying that like, oh, everybody's using AI, and I think when you look at number of searches, we don't even know what that means. Is that number of people? Like, I'm starting to see more than stats come out that like more than 50% of people are doing some sort of searching in an AI tool and stuff.
And how many is yelling at them? Like, no, that's not what I asked. Stop gaslighting
me.
Me.
We don't know what the results of those conversations are, or any of the context about who that is, or what numbers they got from that, what part of the world, what industry we're talking about. I'm sure there's somewhere people are still getting their websites up to date. they're in different places. I know I've in the past worked with like construction companies and other stuff that were like still doing their contracts on the back of cigarette packets and didn't have a website, and they're figuring out their way to get their business off the books and off the internet, not on it. So to say that they've all switched to AI would definitely be a big stretch, right? So it's fascinating. And you did kind of hint at some of the others. We've talked a lot about what to do. Can you maybe just give us an example or two of what not to do, what some of the bad actors are doing with AI? We've mentioned a few of these already.
Yeah, I think again comes back to seeing the output or the metric of success, so to speak, which there is no. I mean, the metric of success could be visibility, or like we consider it the way we track it is visibility score. So the amount of times a brand name or a domain name might appear in a prompt response. Sure. But there is no successful framework at this time of anybody doing any specific thing that didn't have good SEO beforehand that was able to say, okay, we did this, this, and this, and we can clearly see a measurable impact in ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Claude, whatever it is. So that does make things really hard, which also makes it what not to do really hard, because throw 1,000 eggs at the wall, one is going to stick, right? If that is the saying.
I think it would be spaghetti, not eggs. But
spaghetti, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I've kind of seen that too. What I would say along those lines is I talk about this with pushy sales tactics or bad marketing tactics too, is the problem is they work just well enough for people to keep doing it and think that like shortcut is worth it. So it's not that like
LLMs.text, for example.
Yeah, or if you bought 1,000 or 10,000 emails and you spammed them all, like you didn't spend a lot of money. And so if one person buys, maybe that works well enough for you to keep doing that tactic or people to think that shortcut. But you also just burnt 9,999 other emails that never want to hear from you again. You've blocked it, you've trashed your domain, and other things like that don't scale or work over time. Or if you take this shortcut, maybe it works for the first person who took the shortcut. And you see this with all these like influencers and, faking their picture in front of their private jet, or you see it with multi-level marketing a lot. Well, yeah, sure. That first person who got in early and rode the wave and has 1,000 people under them made money, but you coming in as the 1,000th and first person does not have the same opportunity. If 1,000 people take this shortcut, then it works for nobody and you burn out these channels. And I have kind of seen in my career SEO be one of those things that gets burnt more than others, because as soon as there's a hack, as soon as they're an edge, everybody publishes, it goes around the web, it goes viral, and now everybody's doing that hack and it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the rhythm since I started SEO in 2009, 2010. And yeah, there was click button hacks. And I mean, I don't think we have time nor the level of professionalism to talk about, or lack of professionalism to talk about the things that we were doing back in the day. But yeah, I think, and just like this new emergence of AI and marketing, is people are still looking for shortcuts. But I mean, the make money online industry, people are looking for shortcuts. Fast weight loss, people are looking for shortcuts. So the desire for hacking your way through something, I think in any industry, is relatively the same. And I think it's becoming more prominent now, where you have sometimes bad actors, bad marketers, or people with something to pitch that are promoting do this, this, and this for AI, SEO, AEO, GEO, whatever, that you can't actually measure or track. And again, it still might be in our brains logical enough that it makes sense. But what if it doesn't do anything? Like the LLMs.text. I mean, it doesn't hurt, but it doesn't do anything.
Might as well I'll throw it up there, but nobody's looking for it. Nobody's obeying what you put in there or anything anyway. And so I love what you said there. I would second it. And I would also just say that, like, you have to have patience and you got to kind of have guts and confidence here to say, like, everybody is going to take the shortcut. There is going to be this flood of people taking the hacks, trying to do stuff. And maybe they even do get ahead for a short term. But if you take this long-term authority building, relationship building, human first approach we've been talking about, over time, when their tactics stop working, yours bubble up. And so it's really hard. And a lot of business owners don't want to lose the next 3 to 9 months or 3 to 5 years. But if you're going to spend time building, I feel like you spend time building the authority that works long-term, and not, let me burn this hack for 3 months and then hopefully I find another hack to keep my business going, and keep trying to stack these shortcuts on top. It feels like fool gold and a race to the bottom.
Yeah, especially I agree 100%, especially in a marketing vertical like SEO. It's like the antithesis to instant gratification. And it's always kind of been like that in the last maybe almost 10 years now at this point, just because things do take time. And it can take weeks until one implementation or one signal that you've done to see the outcome or not see the outcome of. So, I mean, like SEO, the way we say it to our clients, it's like, it's going to take at least 3 to 6 months until you actually see some improvement. And that improvement could be ambiguous. Going from page 8 to page 4 is a great improvement. But it's, again, not desirable. Yeah, exactly. And then, like, the closer you are to page 1, top 5, top 3, the more competitive things get. So it's easier to go from page 8 to page 3 than it is to go from page 3 to page 1.
Right. Yeah, I think that exponential effort is really important because of what I said. The only way to do that is to build that over time. You can't get that exponential effort in return with shortcuts. It just doesn't work. It burns out before you get there. So that's awesome. I want to ask you two questions before we let you go. The first one is, what do you think? I mean, we've kind of, I think, hit on it. So this could be a short one, but what do you think SEO or search looks like in 5-10 years from now?
I do absolutely believe there's going to be a world in which AI platforms become a popular search engine. When and where, I think is a bigger question. Because right now, as long as AI platforms are still gaslighting you and hallucinating and giving bad recommendations, they're losing user trust. So I think it's going to be a lot of work on their end to switch that up. And there might be, again, a place where, the GEO, AEO is very much a true line item in a marketing service versus now it's don't buy anyone that's selling GEO services. But
yeah, the biggest thing I would say is there too is I think if they go the advertising model, they're done. I think if they
have to.
Everybody says that, but I think the moment they do, they're done, because then what little trust they had left is gone. You're just giving answers to the highest bidder. I don't need that. I can get that somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT just released, I think within the last 2 weeks, the agentic commerce protocol for Shopify sites with Stripe. So they're, of course, taking a small cut on purchases made from there. But also, again, like, are people going to give their credit card in a ChatGPT interface? Like, I'm not. I don't know. What do you, Mike?
Not type into the results. No, like you said, if I can sync up my Stripe account or something in a secure way outside of that gives it the ability to make purchases, maybe. But definitely do not type your personal information or credit card number.
Well, there's the checkout now. Like in ChatGPT, you have in your settings like the amount of orders. There's that orders tab that shows any purchases you might have made on a Shopify site. So I think, again, usually, like you said, user trust is going to be a big one, and the need for them to make money. Like, they're not profitable right now.
Yeah, but I hope that it's through, though, like the taking a cut and the subscriptions and other things. I think it's worth way more than $20 a month. But what I don't want I'm not paying you $20 like Netflix, $20 a month, and you put ads in there.
Oh yeah,
do it. I know you're not alone, and I know you have no control over this. So I'm not arguing with you, but I'm just saying, like, if they do that, I'm out.
Well, that's not a bad idea, because 98% of ChatGPT users are free accounts. So if they get the ads, maybe if they're heavy users, then they would go for a plus account at $20 a month. And then, that might be a decent model. It's going to be hard to not give ads. And I think how they have a lot of history with how people perceive Google search results with ads. And historically, people have skipped when it said ad, just because they don't want to. I don't care how good the result is. It's just an ad. I don't want it.
Yeah.
So I think they have a lot of good data to show how they maybe could implement it. So
here's the other one, and we'll probably skip the other question, which is like, where do you think all this shakes out in our lifetime? I think we're all going to have our own AI and our own algorithms, and we can do our own settings. But I hope that at least on these bigger channels, that maybe there's each take a different route. I would love, which is like, Google's already got the ad place. Let them put ads in Gemini. I don't care. That's not what I'm using it for. But my personal assistant or something, I don't want to ask my AI which running shoe I could get and get ads for running shoes. I want it to actually know about me, my habits, how often I run, like how many miles, whether I have ankle pain and stuff like that, and recommend the best shoe for me, not the one who paid the most amount of money. So I think there could be a spectrum of use cases, if that's fair.
Yeah. And I think, I forgot the name of this model, but there's a model that shows when there's big technological advances in anything, a lot of big increase in adoption of people using this new technology. But as the technological advances slow down, so does the adoption until the next big spike.
Right.
And I think we're like, since earlier this year, we're past that big spike. And until there's something huge, new, revolutionary in the world of AI, when it comes to people finding the products they need, adoption. This is to answer the second question that you kind of asked but didn't ask.
Yeah.
I think adoption will slow down. I think it's gonna be a 10-year game until like really it's in our daily lives.
Yeah, I think so too. And nobody really knows, but it'll be fun to find out how that works. Is it all voice? Is it with your eyes? Is it,
Those
or
Meta glasses, those Ray-Ban ones. It looks pretty cool.
I don't know
Horrible demo.
Like, I don't want to wear tech on my face either. It sounds like you and I are very similar to like at least protecting our digital sanity. And I think when you work in this business, you have to be. But yeah, I think that's another big ask for consumers is to, it's one thing to wear a watch on your wrist or something that's monitoring stuff and not bothering you. It's another one to put something on your face that's interrupting
kind of like half cyborg
conversations and day all day. Yeah. Wild. All right. Well, before we let you go, how can you help us or how can we help you? Tell us about Break the Web. It's at breaktheweb.agency. And once again, we've been talking with Jason Berkowitz.
Oh, thanks, Mike. We help in-house marketing teams of D2C, B2C brands just make SEO measurable, accessible, just like you said, a lot less annoying for in-house teams. And yeah, we're at Break the Web agency.
Yeah, check it out. As you mentioned, there's some other cool tools there. And on LinkedIn, Jason Berkowitz has got a bunch of followers over there and posting cool stuff too. So don't hesitate to connect with me too. Mike Montague on LinkedIn or avenue9.com is the website. We kind of act as context engineers for your business to help you figure out this. I think there's 3 buckets stopping people from using AI in their marketing. Number one is the strategy. Doesn't change. The stuff that we were talking about, the things that work don't change over time. And if you don't have marketing expertise, going to ask ChatGPT to build you a marketing plan or something is not going to fix your go-to-market strategy. Number 2 is asking it to create content without the context doesn't work either. So we'll interview your founder, your top salesperson, your best client, and then use that information to train AI to create cool content for you. And number 3 is the old classic marketing stuff of like figuring out a story that sells and a scalable story that we can turn into a whole bunch of different content with AI and take what you like doing on a podcast or a video and turn that into a blog post or an email or the short form video that nobody over 30 years old wants to do anymore. We'll help make those with AI so that you don't have to dance. And we promise not to use your AI avatar to do that either. But more information at avenue9.com. Until next time, good luck, good selling, everybody. Keep going.